Can't get the technology anyway. It's better than back in the day when you had a nice big Marantz or a suitcase to take with you when you were recording. Those were the days when I started. None of this modern technology, Malaki. Recording it on your laptop. Yeah. Fucking hell. Never happened in my day.
Well, Apple's gone to shit anyway, hasn't it, since he died?
Steve Jobs?
Really. Yeah, Steve Jobs. It's not moved on a great deal, has it? Just putting another number on top of a phone.
You see what I mean? They're missing that fucking slightly crazy guy, aren't they? That you need at the top of a company.
There's nothing groundbreaking, is there, that's come out of Apple, really? Apart from maybe the watch, which nobody's asked about. It's just a watch.
I know, yeah. I'm not a big fan of that, to be honest with you. I know, I agree with you. Yeah. Anyway, it peaked in 2007 or whenever it was, didn't it? Been down. A bit like United. Peaked in 2008. You've been downhill since then.
Yeah, but we are on a resurgence. I like the way you try to bring it back to football there. Very well done. I'll try harder for Lena. Right, this is Scotty and Motty, and before we had technical issues, you spit into your brew that took you 2 hours to make fucking on the hob at home. I don't know how bad things are over in Salford. Right, I've just been trying to input Jay that I've seen his best mate, John Barnes, on the telly. I know you've not spoke to him in about a week, but this time he's not on telly talking about race issues, thank the Lord. But he's on Celebrity MasterChef, and it always sort of buzzes me head that bit where they brought the celebrities in a Michelin star restaurant, and then they don't tell the diners who's cooking the food. Now, can you imagine if you've been waiting 3 months for a I don't know, a 2-star Michelin star meal, and then fucking John Barnes comes out of a cheese on toast and whatever, like John Barnes cooked that? I'm like, I don't give a shit. Who really cares? Like, yeah, but he played for England. I don't care. And he rapped on World in Motion. I've been waiting here. I was going to propose to the missus. Do you know what I mean? You had all this romantic gesture, then fucking John Barnes comes out with some burnt toast. I'm not really impressed. I want a discount.
That bloke who played on the losing side in the '96 Cup final, yeah, he's cooked your tea. No, he's not. That's not what I'm here for. Get it shifted. Take that back, and let's get a professional chef. Just as I don't want to go and watch United and see Gordon Ramsay running about down the wing, I don't want to go to a restaurant and see John Barnes making food for me. You're absolutely right, Scotty. Well said.
Stay in your lane, Barnes. Stay in your lane.
Yeah, which is what he's more or less what he's been preaching to anyone who speaks up about racism over the past 3 years. Funnily enough, hey. So practice what you preach, son. Barnesy, hey. Hold and give, and all that drivel.
Yeah, anyway. I don't know if he's gone through. More updates on MasterChef next week.
I need to know.
Yeah.
It's funny though, because if he's in it, I don't know how it works, but I'd say you go through, it's a competition, like knockout stages and all that. So I'll just watch it to root through whoever's up against him.
But he's not really had much success, has he, when he wears white suits? Ooh, well, yes.
That's not the '96 Cup final isn't the only time he wore a white suit, is it? If you go back to the fancy dress party, but let's move on.
Yeah, let it go, man. It was the '80s that racism was acceptable back then. I've been John preach. Anyway, we digress. This is Scotty and Motty, and we're about to do a football roundup from all the action, or the lack of action, or the mediocre action, because nobody really gives a toss, because a lot of people aren't playing for anything. But there were some highlights this weekend, most notably Man United going 1-0 down against Bournemouth, and if that had happened earlier on in the season, we would have taken a draw, I imagine. But no, we went on and absolutely wiped the floor with them 5-2. Mason Greenwood, how good is he, Jay?
I would say, in all honesty now, I'm not getting carried away. Like I'll temper it slightly and say he's the greatest player in the history of association football. No, he's for an 18-year-old, I would say in my lifetime, he's up there with the best 18-year-old. I put him in the same bracket as ROONEY, pains me to say it, but we'll be honest, Michael Owen, and probably Giggs at that age. I think he's in that bracket. I think those players at the age of 18 were more or less world class.
Yeah.
You look at what ROONEY was doing when he was 18. We bought him, I think, when he was 18 for 30 million, I think, around that age. Michael Owen obviously scored that worldie in the World Cup when he was 18. And Giggs, I think he won the title when he was 18 and played a big part in that title when he didn't just get a medal, as a sort of, you've had five appearances at the end of the season. He was like a big part of United winning the first Premier League. So those three players were the outstanding teenagers when I was, of my lifetime. I don't think, I've seen anything like that. And some people might look at it and go, well, what about Marcus Rashford? And I love Marcus Rashford. You know I do. We both do. But the difference between Marcus and Mason is that when Marcus got his chance, which was more or less through injury, Martial got injured in the warm-up against Midtjylland. Will Keane got injured, I think it was against Preston or whatever, he did his knee. And it was like we were running out of strikers and Van Gaal just sort of gave him a chance and he took it. But Marcus Rashford, when he burst on the scene, he scored loads of goals on his debuts, his Premier League debut, his European debut, scored the winner in the derby, of course. But he sort of exceeded everyone's expectations. He'd been a good player for the academy, but no one was saying, I'll tell you what, Marcus Rashford is going to bang him in every week for United in the first team if you promote him now. Most people were saying it's touch and go whether he's going to be able to sort of make that step up. Some people thought he would. Some people were a bit sceptical. With Mason, I think it's 41 goals in 41 games at lower level. Everyone has been raving about him. Everyone has been saying, this kid has got it all. Left foot, right foot, strength, pace, skills, a lot, and he will make this step up. You speak to anyone that's seen him play at lower levels or younger levels, and they're all confident in that. And so it's not as much of a surprise it was with Marcus, who sort of got his chance and took it. With Mason, this has been brewing a lot for a couple of years now, and people have been excited about him. So that's why I think he's probably got the edge on what Marcus achieved. And obviously Anthony Martial and players like that were a little bit older. So yeah, I just think he's just a phenomenal talent. And I was saying this on, I think I did McCauley's show the other day after the game. He's now at a point where he's a first team player. We needed those goals against Brighton. If he hadn't been playing, there's a chance we might not. But I know that sounds daft, we won 5-2. But he scored important goals at important times. So we need him to be playing for Manchester United now, because no disrespect to Dan James, but he's not at that same level. And he's not, Dan James, since his early season goals, hasn't really been finding the back of the net. So no, I'm a massive Greenwood fan. I don't think, listen, loads of people will be saying to you or to whoever on Twitter or wherever, say, oh, you know what, I told you. There's no I told you souls with Mason Greenwood. Anyone who saw him play knew he was going to be a phenomenal talent. So there was no, I think the only sort of people that can say I told you so are maybe those that were calling it when he was like 3 or something like that, because since he's been about 15, people have been watching him because he's been scoring ridiculous amounts of goals, and he's obviously carried that on to the very top level. And I couldn't be more excited to see how the next few years especially pan out for him, because with the players that he's got around him now and the confidence he's got and a manager who believes in him as well, then the sky, as Ollie said, the sky's the limit for him. I think he's very, very true.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you just said. The thing is between when he gets compared to Marcus, obviously both products of the United youth system, is that I don't think that Marcus's natural ability or strengths are in goal scoring, whereas that's so flaming obvious with Marcus Greenwood. He's so clinical, and knows where the net is at all times. Whereas Marcus Rashford, I've always, and still now to an extent, I always think he's better as the sort of coming in off the left wing, very similar to Martial in that sort of sense. And that's why sometimes they would clash when they played together previously. But yeah, man, it's not a revelation that he's actually made the step up. But I mean, what an impact he's had. And then, but obviously we've been linked with people like Jadon Sancho. I mean, is he going to be happy sitting on the bench behind Marcus Greenwood? Mason Greenwood. Mason. Sorry, imagine I got a Marcus and a Greenwood Rashford mashup. Behind Greenwood.
I mean, you look at it, and me and you are similar. The great United teams have options in attack. We've always had that, whether it's Ollie, Sheringham, Cole, York, whether we've had Giggs and Sharp or Kanchelskis with only 2 wing places or whatever. Whether you've got sort of more recently where you've had RVP, Hernandez, ROONEY. Do you know what I mean? You've had more than you've always had that extra player for the positions where you've had to make a decision. I mean, we went into the Champions League final with Berbatov not in the squad after he'd scored, 20 goals that season. I mean, you can argue whether that was a mistake or not, but that shows you the levels that we had. We had those options where now Manchester United, the problem we've got is I'm completely, well, not completely, but I'm fairly confident in our starting 11. We've got a strong starting 11, but it's if you get one or two injuries, it's if you need to rotate, that's when you start worrying a little bit. So to not go for Jadon Sancho, I think, will be madness because, as I mentioned earlier, Dan James, love the kid. He's done well for his first season, but is he at the very top level? Is Dan James a title-winning player? Is he a Champions League winning player? And these are the types of players United should be aiming for. Mason Greenwood's a title-winning player. Martial is, in terms of they're good enough to win a title. Jadon Sancho is. So you need more than just... You can't just have three attackers if you're going to start three attackers. Because then when the games are coming thick and fast, or if someone gets an injury or suspension, then you're going to be snookered. So, yeah, 100%. You know, we were speaking earlier about Rashford grabbing his chance. You know, why did he get that chance? Because there was so many injuries. You know, there was like 3 or 4 injuries, whatever there was. And then when players started coming in, when the likes of Ibrahimovic and Lukaku came in, Marcus kept his place because he was that good. Same with Martial. You know, Alexis Sanchez comes in and Lukaku comes in after him, and they've both gone now, and he's still there. So I just think it'd be crackers to say, oh, well, we've got Mason Greenwood. We don't need Jadon Sancho. Now's the time we do need to get someone else to bolster that attack because we're in a position of strength for the first time in a little while. So, yeah, just, you know, we've got to look at it and think like the old United used to, you know, we need more, not less. And it's like, you know, we need options. And let's not forget, I hate bringing it up, but, you know, what are we, 30 points or whatever behind the Scousers? You're not going to catch them up by not buying world-class players. So, yeah, it's got to be done.
Yeah, I mean, and that was always Fergie's thing, wasn't it? Especially within the Premier League, he'd go out the following season, and if wherever the best Premier League play was that outside of United, he'd make Berbatov as a great example. But before that, Ferdinand's in whatever positions, he made sure that they bring them to United, and that's how you win titles, by strengthening your team and weakening others around him. The worst thing would be if we didn't get Sancho and say he ended up back at City or went to Liverpool or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Where else could he go? Because he won't be without any of his any suitors come the summer. But you say that you think United have got a title-winning 11, yet we can ask questions again, and this is post-lockdown. I think this is probably the second time I've said about De Gea and more so Harry Maguire. Is Harry Maguire? I know he comes with a hefty price. I wouldn't say. I'm confident that our 11 could beat anyone. I don't know if it's a title-winning 11. Oh, right, okay.
But yeah, I get where you're coming from.
All right, sorry for putting words in your mouth there. You're making sure. Yeah, he's not having me, the bastard.
Because that'll get clips up, and it's Jay Motty said this team's good enough to win the Premier League.
Right, so you think we're going to win the treble next year, Jay? Right?
If we don't win at least 3 trophies with this team, I'll be amazed. No, sorry, go on. Yeah,
okay. So the team can beat any team on its day. But do you think we need to be strengthening at the back? Is Harry Maguire really a central defender that is good enough to win you the title with the mistakes that he has made, and behind him De Gea? And especially when you look next to him with Lindelof, is that not where we should be looking to strengthen? If we're looking at Sancho, should we not be investing a similar sort of money in the central defence?
I mean, there's 2 options Ollie's got here. Well, there's 3, but I don't think one of them is a real option. He spent 80 million quid, 85 million, I think, with add-ons on Harry Maguire. Let's be honest, and that's an Ollie signing. He's not going anywhere. There's no fucking way, right? United, especially, you know, this season, okay, defence hasn't been great, but we've still got, the second or third highest number of clean sheets in Europe?
Yeah.
Not a complete disaster. And it's difficult to turn around to a board if you've just said, get me this defender, or you've signed a defender for 85 million quid, and then turn around a season later, after your defence has done well, and said, you know what, we need to replace him. It's when that's the sort of Jose Mourinho.
I was going to say, that's a very Jose thing to do.
Yeah, get me this player, I need him, and then you get him, actually, he's crap, get me someone else. And it's like, you know, I don't think Ollie's going to do that. I don't think he will. And to be honest with you, I don't think he needs to. The other option is to buy a defender to go alongside Maguire, which is more than likely what's going to happen. I'm with you. I think Lindelof, for me, the previous season, he was my player of the season. I know a lot of people didn't agree, but I thought over the course of the season, he was our most consistent player, including when Jose was manager and when Ollie came in, unlike some others who just turned up when Ollie came in. So I thought he was brilliant, but he's gone off the boil this season. He's not been terrible, but he's not been as good as he was the previous season, and there's question marks there. So do you replace Lindelof? Do you either buy someone, or do you focus on Bailly or Axel Tuanzebe? Those options aren't great for different reasons. Naturally talented. Tuanzebe's had injury problems. Bailly, again, he has injury problems and discipline problems. He always seems to be sort of struggling to get a run of games. And the third option, if you don't replace Lindelof, is do you switch the system? Do you go to three at the back? Now, Maguire made his name for England as part of a back three. A lot of people think Aaron Wan-Bissaka or even Luke Shaw are made more for a back three than they are as full-backs. So that could be an option. Or they could say, all right, I've put a back three there and have wing-backs. But then, of course, you've got to shuffle it around, and how do you do it in attack and, your midfield, and that causes different issues throughout the team. So it's a bit of a head-scratcher, but I think in answer to your question, going a long-winded way around answering it, I think more than likely Ollie will get another centre-back in to play alongside Maguire. I think that makes sense, because he can always sort of say as well, no matter what happens with Lindelof, he wasn't an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer signing. He can't say that about Maguire, because, he wanted him and he got him. So I presume he wanted him. So, I think that's more than likely what's going to happen. But I think if United do go out and buy a centre-back, we need to buy someone who's going to come in and play. We can't do what we did with likes of Lindelof and Bailly and Rojo, buy these defenders who might be good enough or might be ready in a year or whatever, or we're not sure about. We need to go out there, like we did with Maguire, and get someone who, right, he's going to come in and he's going to start every game. Because I think Maguire, he's been caught out a couple of times post-lockdown, but I still think he's a quality defender. Yeah. And I think with the right partner alongside him or as part of a back three, he'll be fine.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was just posing you the question because of obviously when he got megged at the weekend and he did make a Bournemouth. It wasn't pretty on the eye, to say the least. But who would you say we'd be looking at getting at centre back? Is any names that we're linked with?
The one obviously was Koulibaly, wasn't it? That was the one everyone was saying about, but it just seems like it was silly money. So I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if that's sort of dead in the water or whether that is still an option. Someone was, I don't know if it was a bit of kidology. I saw some rumours about, I think it was one of the Burnley lads like James Tarkowski or something. I just think that's ridiculous. That's never going to happen. There's been talk of Michael Keane, another one. That's never going to happen either. I mean, that's a problem you've got as well. There's not lots of defenders who you can go out there and say they're Premier League ready or they're good enough to win you a title or challenge for a title, are going to come in and do a job straight away. But there's options there. But the trouble is, it's, it's like everything now. It's massive money in it. We spent massive money on Maguire. Are we going to go out and spend massive money on a Koulibaly or whoever? I don't know, man. Yeah. I just think we do need to strengthen there. And it's one Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to have to look at. And maybe there's some sort of deal that can be made with, some of the players we've already got on our books that are surplus to requirements. That might be an option. I don't know.
Yeah, be interesting. Let us know who you think United should be looking at buying in the comments section. Before I move on to another game, I just wanted to say, has Nemanja Matic been in like a cryogenic chamber during lockdown? What's going on there? And can we put him back in there? In pre-season, like what's going on there? He's like a Rolls Royce. He's just come out of the garage. He's slick, he's just all over the park. He's just seamless. He's got to be like maybe the third or fourth name on the list after De Gea and the strikers for me. Anyway, he's having a fantastic second half of the season.
Yeah, I mean, everyone raves about our midfield and Pogba and Bruno, and rightly so, because they've both been fantastic since we come back from lockdown. Bruno since he arrived, and Pogba since we returned from lockdown. But the player that's what made them tick and who's stood out almost because of, like you say, the surprise element, has been Nemanja Matic. I mean, again, I think this season, Fred was probably my second player of the season behind Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I thought he was probably just picked Marcus because of Marcus's injury. I would have had Fred as maybe the second best player. But Matic just come in and made that position his own, to the point where he was almost undroppable. Ollie against Bournemouth obviously needed a win and didn't want to risk it. Didn't want to risk bringing in Fred. I know he came on in the end, but didn't want to risk Fred on McTominay, and they're both capable midfielders. So, I think Matic's been outstanding. If you watch him, it's not just the simple things. It's not just protecting the back four. He brings the ball out of defence with such confidence. I mean, he was a number 10 Matic in his early on in his career. People forget that. And that's why he's quite confident on the ball. The only thing is he's the wrong side of 30. Can he do it week in, week out? But you've got other options. You've got Fred, you've got McTominay. I just think we need a midfielder who can play on his own as a defensive midfielder, because you've got to start Bruno and Pogba. You can't have one of them two. So that's why Matic sort of is doing so well. And it's been great to see, and it just shows you, because going into the January transfer window, I think he was halfway out the door, wasn't he?
Yeah, looked like it. Yeah, he's talking about going to Chelsea, wasn't he, at one point, or Spurs even to join Jose again. But yeah, it's been a revelation. Let's not just turn it into United chat. Obviously, Man City got beat again today, and that's their 9th loss this season. 23 points now behind Liverpool. Is this the worst ever title defence outside of Leicester? They're like the Frank Bruno of football, aren't they, Man City?
Yeah, that's a good analogy. To be fair, Frank Bruno did come up against a Prime Tyson who took his title off him. But yeah, I've
heard Liverpool be described some horrible things recently, mate.
Well, yeah, it's been shambles. I mean, City got that win against the Scousers, didn't they, midweek, and it was like, all right, that's sort of saved them a bit of embarrassment and given them a bit more swagger. The fact that they've redeemed themselves almost, but it has been a terrible title defence. Whichever way you look at it, I mean, to be 23 points behind the league, the champions elect from your title, that's worse. I think Moyes was 22 points behind him, behind City when United were defending the title with David Moyes. So, it's just not good enough, and it's almost gone under the radar slightly because everyone loves Pep Guardiola. And everyone loves Jurgen Klopp, so it's almost become like, Klopp's amazing and Guardiola's still amazing. It's just not as good, but he's made some crackers decisions this season. Guardiola, company went out and they didn't really replace him. I think they were overconfident in Laporte, who got injured. Then you're moving Fernandinho into defence and you're missing him in midfield as well because I know Gundogan, or whatever you pronounce his name, does a decent job there, but he's not the same. He's not the same player at all. Neither's Rodri, who came in. So yeah, I just think they miss it. It's just been a bit. I almost use the word naivety from Pep. I think he felt, well, Liverpool haven't really bought anyone, and we've bought players, so we'll be all right. And as you said earlier, you need to strengthen when you're in a position of strength. And they should have gone out there and they should have bought another centre back, or they should have bought another midfielder or whatever, other than the one they bought, and they didn't. And the Scousers have kicked on, had that phenomenal run for like 2/3 of the season, and City just couldn't keep up. And it's just whichever way you look at it, even if you think the Scousers have done well, 9 defeats, losing to some. I mean, we beat them twice in the league. How often does that happen? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And we beat them at the Etihad early this season, where we weren't even playing that well at that time. We'd had a win against Spurs that more or less saved Ollie's job. People were saying if he doesn't beat Mourinho's Spurs, he's going to be gone. And then a few days later, he beats City at the Etihad. And then, again, they come to Old Trafford, sort of the title almost out of their grasp, and we beat him again. So it just shows you it's not been a great season. I mean, listen, Pep can save his sort of, I wouldn't say save his reputation, but enhance his reputation if he can win the Champions League, and they've got a very good chance of doing that, say. But in terms of the league defence, it's been shambolic.
Yeah, well, I wanted to touch on the Champions League and the importance it is. Obviously, for Man City and City fans, it'll be huge for them to actually win it. But just in terms of Guardiola's pedigree or his CV, when all the cards have been dealt and people look back on history, where does it leave Pep Guardiola in terms of success if he doesn't lift the Champions League with another club outside of Barcelona? Because the argument is that he had Messi and he had such a strong team at Barcelona when he won it the 2 times that he has there. But if you compare him to how many times did Brian Clough win the European Cup? Or Jose Mourinho won it, but
Brian Clough won it twice. He won it back to back. Brian Clough
won it twice, yeah, and won it back to back, and that was with a Forest team with less money for the time. Jose Mourinho's done it with different clubs, and I just wonder, Pep, because he plays this sort of fluid football, and like I said, he is one of the media's darlings in terms of him and Klopp and personalities. He very rarely rubs the journalists up the wrong way, so he is very likeable. But is it a massive blemish if he can't win the Champions League outside of Barcelona? Because in my mind, I see him maybe doing full circle and after City returning back to Barcelona, because they look like they're in a bit of a shitstorm at the moment with, I think Real Madrid are probably going to win La Liga this year. So it's just an interesting question in terms of where do you place Pep in the hierarchy of managers? How far below Alex Ferguson is there? And then who are his sort of peers? Well, what do you make of it? Well,
I think, he's definitely below Sir Alex Ferguson. I think he's a good bit below Fergie. I mean, you could argue maybe even Ancelotti in terms of a career. he's done, achieved more than Pep Guardiola. I'm not saying he's necessarily a better coach right now, but I think Ancelotti's won it. Is it 3 Champions Leagues with 2 different clubs?
Yeah, won it with Milan's.
Won it a couple of times with Milan and then with Real Madrid. Or am I getting it the wrong way? I'm sure he's won it a few times anyway. And you look at Pep's record at Bayern Munich. Yes, he won the league, but what do you fucking do if you can't win the Bundesliga with Bayern Munich? Me and you could probably join managers of Bayern Munich and win the fucking Bundesliga there. Let's have it right. So, it's not. Well, at least get him into the top 4. But he's not.
Always available if you want to. Scotty and Motty at gmail.com if Karl-Heinz Rummenigge or whatever his name is.
Yeah, if you're looking for a laugh. Looking for a challenge, put us in a dugout for a bit. That's what Oktoberfest has got right out of hand, innit, when you make decisions. Hey, waking up the right angle over there.
Imagine that. I've got an idea. We get Scotty and Motty in.
That's when Vincent Sam was at Cardiff, and he appoint like his son's mate as like director of football or head of scouting or something. It was just some fucking nonsense. But anyway, I digress. But yeah, Pep didn't obviously win the Champions League. I think they got to the semis. He didn't get to a final. And I was in a City press conference a couple of years ago when he was asked about this, the fact that he hadn't won the Champions League other than when they sort of word it, don't they, the journalists, like, you've not won it without Lionel Messi.
Yeah.
You didn't win it at Bayern Munich. You couldn't get to a final. You've not managed to get as far as the semi-finals up until now with it looks like that's the way it's going, with City. And he got a little bit annoyed. You can see it was bothering him. So I think for his CV or whatever, he needs to prove himself, or to prove that he's capable of doing it on a European stage without just that great Barcelona team. Because it was a great team and he deserves credit for someone that we saw it firsthand. He beat us in 2 finals. But, yes, he deserves credit for assembling it, but he inherited a lot of those players. He inherited Xavi, he inherited Iniesta, PK, Puyol, Messi, of course. Inherited, was it Samuel Eto'o? And then moved him on and then replaced him and things like that. So it wasn't like it was a successful job, obviously, what he did, but it was, he had a lot of advantages. And then he comes in at City, and I don't think any manager in the history of football has ever had as much backing as Pep's had at City. They've absolutely pulled out all the stops for him, even buying in players when they knew he was going to come before he got there. So when you look at the likes of Raheem Sterling, who wasn't a Pep Guardiola signing, they bought him with a view to Guardiola's going to come. Kevin De Bruyne, Guardiola's going to come. Get these players in because when he arrives, they'll have been here for a year or whatever. So, and then backing him to buy, keeper after keeper and fullback after fullback or whatever. So he's had a massive backing there. And I think City fans are obviously living it on cloud 9, back-to-back titles and the domestic treble. But the thing they want is a Champions League. They've never had that. It's the one thing lots of things United have over him, but it's one big thing United have over him more than even the Scouts or anyone has, has won the Champions League. And like you say, Forest have got it over City because City have never won it and Forest have. So, yeah, I think that would move him up a level, perhaps. I still think to be spoke about like Fergie, who for me is the greatest ever, you've got to do what Fergie did, and that's rebuild team after team. Fergie rebuilt, 4 United teams?
Yeah,
three, maybe 3.5. If you look at the way it sort of panned out, no one does that. Managers build a team and then they move on. Mourinho built a team at Chelsea and then moved on. He built a team at Porto, moved on, went to Chelsea, moved on, went to Real Madrid. Inter. Yeah, then to Real Madrid, but he didn't build team after team. Then he went back to Chelsea and won the title, but Fergie built a team after team, and that's what makes him great, and that's what makes him a one of a kind. And I think if Guardiola wants to get spoken about like Sir Alex, and I hope he doesn't do this, but staying at City for a long time and rebuilding team after team, then we can start having that conversation.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I can't see him having that sort of longevity to stay at City. I think that if they do win the Champions League and it is under Guardiola, then I think that'll be the sort of he'll end on that note. But the similar argument is why I always say Ronaldo is better than Messi on the belief that he's done it at so many different clubs. Do you know what I mean? He scored that many goals and he's won that many trophies at so many different clubs, and I think that gives you more sort of I don't know. It just shows more about your ability where you can do it on different stages and within different clubs. And Guardiola is still the same, and the question mark will hold over him until he answers it. But Klopp or Guardiola, who's the better manager in your eyes?
I'd probably go with Guardiola, because I think that whilst Klopp's had 2 fantastic seasons, it took him a while to get there. And the wheels came off at Dortmund, didn't they? Didn't he finish 7th in his last season there?
Yeah, the last year that year.
Yeah, he lost 6. Did he lose 6 finals on a trot? And has Pep even lost the final? I can't think. He might have lost the final. Non-spring. He beat us in 2 Champions League finals, and he won the domestic treble, and he beat Klopp in a final before that. So he's obviously got a very good record in finals, no matter how you look at it. So Klopp's not had the resources that Guardiola's had. So that's balancing it out slightly, but I'd just give Guardiola the edge. And it pains me to be having this conversation, because, the 2 of our biggest rivals, and it's not nice to be having it, but that's where we're at. And, I think you've got to be honest about it. There's no point in denying they've been successful. They've achieved phenomenal results, and, you can't, hiding from that. But I think Guardiola's got the edge. But again, I think next season's a big season for both of them, because if Klopp retains the title, then question marks are going to be on Guardiola. And if Guardiola wins it back from Klopp, then Klopp's failed to do what is the benchmark for me of any great manager. Something that Wenger couldn't do. Something that Fergie did several times over. Even Mourinho did it once. And that's retain the title. That's probably the most difficult thing.
Yeah, I agree with you. Well, let's jump from one rival to the next. And Liverpool played Villa today. Grealish spent most time on his arse than he did standing up, as did Mo Salah. Was back to dive in when they've already won the championship and the league title, and yet he's still trying to con referees. Is it a pointless game? Villa going down, and what did you make of Liverpool's performance?
Like you said, Mo Salah's just got that reputation, and it's a shame because, I know he's a scouser, but he's a talented player. But his dives are just ridiculous. They are, and he needs to get a grip of it. It's been going on for ages now, and he doesn't need to do that. He's got it enough in his locker to get lots of goals without resorting to just obvious theatrics. I mean, he did it against us in pre-season, didn't he? I can't remember who it was.
Yeah.
Was it Fosu Mensah or someone? It was one of the young lads who he did it against. It just looks fucking ridiculous. It was a friendly.
You don't need to do that. If you've got all ability in you're allowed to get tackled once or twice. Just fucking let it go.
VAR as well. If you get a clip, it's going to get pulled up. You don't, go down. Fair enough if you go down, you get clipped, but he's thrown himself about. He's not even been touched. He just looks stupid. I mean, this is Liverpool probably needed a win to bounce back from the defeat to City. And that obviously they've got that ridiculously good home record. Villa, if Grealish can't do it, no one can for them. And as you said, he was getting kicked all over the gaff, and it wasn't happening for him. I like Jack Grealish. He really impressed me when he came to Old Trafford with Villa. He got kicked a lot there as well, but he still managed to get himself a goal. I think Villa are in all sorts of trouble. I think the bottom 3 now is probably the bottom 3 in it, if we're being honest. Yeah. Can you see anyone getting out of it? I can't.
No, well, we've got Villa, haven't we, on Wednesday night? And I think that
Thursday, I might be wrong.
Thursday night we've got them, and then it'd be sod's law for them to pull out a performance, wouldn't it? I mean, after Chelsea and Leicester getting a win today, you could see like Grealish maybe having a decent performance against United.
I mean, I might be being a bit harsh on Villa there, because I think they are they are a point behind Watford, and Watford are exactly setting the world alight. So they might have a fighting chance. And like you say, at least with Grealish, you've got one player who can win your matches. But yeah, I mean, anything less than a win for United there is a fucking massive disappointment. I mean, we should be beating... it's away, Villa Park. I know it's away, but there's no crowd. I mean, it's still an away game. But yeah, you should be beating Villa, really, to be honest with you.
Yeah, we have a decent record as well at Villa Park. And then we have over the years, whether it's FA Cup semi-final replays or whatnot, we tend to show up when we go to Villa Park. FA Cup semi-final coming up against Chelsea, and obviously we're both going for top 4. If you had the option of a FA Cup win and a piece of silverware, or top 4 Champions League, which one would you take? Because it may be the option that the team that actually loses the FA Cup semi-final has to look forward to the FA Cup final. There's the argument that players might be able to be rested the other way around. So what would you rather have?
You see, you get me on a different day and you'll get a different answer. But today's answer is probably silverware, mate. It probably is. You know, we grew up winning trophies, and I'm not just talking about the 30 years, even before that, in the 80s, you know, 30 trips to Wembley and FA Cup finals, winning the FA Cup. It was, you know, it was a big part of what United were about in our so-called barren years. We still managed to win FA Cups, and it was great. And, you know, you look at it, and when you talk about clubs and what they've achieved and what they haven't, no one's, you know, when Liverpool went, what was it, 8 years without a trophy or whatever, and people didn't go, well, at least they finished top four twice or whatever. It was like, well, you went 8 years or whatever it was, 7 or 8 years without a trophy. Same with Arsenal. It wasn't until they started winning the FA Cup again that people started giving them credit. It wasn't like, oh, well, you keep finishing top four, well done. That's as good as a trophy. I know Wenger said it was, but it isn't really. So push came to shove, I'd probably rather we win something, but I think we can do both. I think we've beaten Chelsea, 4 times out of the last 5 or something stupid.
Yeah.
We've beaten City 3 times out of the last 4. All right, one of them was slightly misleading because it was the League Cup when we already lost the first leg, but we still won. So you think we can do it, you know, if City obviously get past Arsenal or whatever. But and if Arsenal, all right, I know they've beaten us, but come on, you fancy your chances against them. So why not? You know, as you said, we were saying earlier, and I said earlier, I think on our day, despite our mistakes in defence, I think we can beat anyone on our day. That'd be the perfect opportunity to show that, and we've shown that against these teams. So yeah, I'd rather us win something, but I think we can do both. I mean, I'm not as confident as well that if you don't get in the Champions League, you can't buy certain players. I think you can. I think if Jadon Sancho wants to come to United, I don't think us not being in the Champions League will stop him.
Yeah, I think the form that we've sort of shown towards the end of this year shows how good a football we can play, and obviously money talks as well. And I think with everything that goes around with Jadon Sancho, that we don't want him going elsewhere. And obviously the sponsorship deals that Woodward will get, you know, when Sancho comes in will be ridiculous anyway. So for that alone, it'd be worth signing, throwing money at. I'm going to say top 4 and Europa League winners. That's my prediction.
Well, that's happy days, and that's 2 trophies. And we get into... Oh, no, sorry. You said top 4. I got mistaken. Top 4 and Europa League. Right, okay. That's a trophy, European trophy. And you get into the Champions League twice there, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, we could have like a plastic treble. We could have like 2 trophies and a wooden spoon.
Jose won that, didn't he? That was Jose's treble when he had the Charity Shield, the Europa and the League Cup. Do you remember him at Stockholm on the pitch? And only Herrera was having it. One of Herrera, the ultimate shithouse, was like, I was there. There's no fucking way. I was going like that. Not a chance, mate. You can't count. Like, it's a simple rule in football. Any trophy that David Moyes has won doesn't count as a trophy.
Love it.
You know, remember that City next time you bring up formidables.
Right, on that note, I need to go back and see if John Barnes has gone through to the next round of MasterChef. I've been Scotty, that's been Motty. We will see you very soon. Thanks everyone that's got in touch on the last one. There was loads of comments, lots of debate going on as well. My phone was going mental with people disagreeing.
We rattled a few cages there, didn't we? We used to get everyone agreeing with us, but, you know, apparently David Starkey's not a racist.
Apparently, it seems like he's got a fanboy club on it. Everyone was like, he isn't.
Like, he's not racist. And then, like, it was like he's lost his job because of his racist comments. He's like, we're not going to be working with him because he's racist. It was like, But yeah, no, we listen. Even if you don't agree with us, we appreciate you sort of joining in the debate. And to be fair, the comments we've had. I mean, I've had comments on other channels where people are issuing death threats and all sorts. They were well thought out comments. They were making the case even if they didn't agree with him, and we appreciate that and appreciate people getting involved. Appreciate as well. I mean, this won't mean a lot to everyone, but people aren't just sort of clicking on and staying on. You know, we look at the time and people spend a lot of time watching us and listening to us, which is much appreciated as well.
Definitely. We shall see you very soon with another podcast. But until then, stay safe. We shall see you soon.